Today on People Now, big music news as Eminem releases a surprise new album.
Aretha Franklin laid to rest in her hometown after days of public viewings.
Senator John McCain lies in state at the U.S. Capitol.
Actress Gabrielle celebrates her 4-year anniversary with Dwyane Wade with an adorable tribute.
Plus, guys, we go inside the days that led Ben Affleck to re-enter rehab.
It's all today on People Now.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to People Now. We made it to the weekend, Labor Day weekend. Here we go. You guys excited? Feeling good?
We got some excitement. Okay, we'll accept that.
So, in honor of Aretha Franklin, who we're celebrating today, the world is celebrating her as her funeral is taking place. We're taking a look back at some of her classic hits.
Yeah, we want to know, what is your favorite Aretha song? There's a lot of amazing ones, but we got Respect, A Natural Woman, I Never Loved a Man. What about, can't forget, Ain't No Way. So vote for your favorite Aretha song in our People poll.
I suspect I know the winner.
I think I do too, but hey, you never know. There could be an upset
sway
here.
The vote. Okay, we'll check in on the results a little later, but for now, here's what you need to know and what's trending for today. The Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, is being laid to rest today in her hometown of Detroit, Michigan, 2 weeks after the singer died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 76. The funeral is currently taking place at the Greater Grace Temple, and while the 6-hour-long ceremony is strictly limited to friends and family of the late singer, they're streaming the service live. We can take a look now at inside that ceremony and some of the things that are going on there. The 6-hour-long celebration actually began at 8:30 a.m. local time, and Andrea, it's going to end at 3 p.m. local time today. So a long ceremony with a lot of people that were close to Aretha Franklin and her family that have been invited in.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people there. And this funeral comes days after public viewings were held throughout the week. Fans were able to pay their respects to Franklin in person, and if you weren't able to pay your respects in person, there have been so many tributes online and everything pouring in to remember such an amazing woman and her legacy.
And obviously looking here, everyone, all of fans and people that adored her for many different reasons can, peek in and see how this ceremony and this service is unfolding as we see people filing by the casket there. We have seen her throughout the week in these different public viewings. Aretha was dressed in red pumps and a matching red suit earlier in the week. A lot has been made of kind of how she was displayed because all of that was sort of planned out and very significant.
Yeah, on the second night, she was laid in a powder blue dress, matching shoes. The final night, she was dressed in a rose gold St. John's gown and gold Christian Louboutin heels. Obviously, to remember her and the wonderful icon that she was. And there's going to be a lot of amazing speakers today throughout the funeral service. The speeches will be made by Bill Clinton, Smokey Robinson, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Cicely Tyson, former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, Clive Davis, and Tyler Perry.
Yeah, so lots of stars there, lots of significant sort of dignitaries and people that'll be sharing their thoughts about Aretha Franklin, her impact that went so far beyond music, and performers at the service as well. Stevie Wonder, Faith Hill, Ariana Grande, Shaka Khan even there for performing.
Yeah, and then according to TMZ, Jennifer Hudson, who recently signed on to portray Franklin in a biopic based on her memoir, Aretha from These Roots, will also pay tribute with a rendition of Amazing Grace.
So we're going to have, you remember that Aretha grew up in her singing in her father's church, and so a lot of hymns are going to be sang, will be sung today, and you expect a real, almost like a very church service kind of atmosphere as the day rolls on. The concert called A People's Tribute to the Queen actually took place at a local park. Those who didn't score tickets, though, they were able to view the concert via live stream. One of the interesting things that's happening with this entire rollout throughout the week is that fans are able to log online and watch everything unfolding with those live streams, including those concerts that led up to this.
Yeah, and that you were talking about was organized by her family. It was packed with celebrity appearances.
So Aretha Franklin died at the age of 76, as we mentioned, pancreatic cancer. That was on August 16th. She blazed such a trail. We'll be going back to that live shot and peeking in on that ceremony a little bit later in the show. Now we continue on with another funeral, actually. Senator John McCain. He's going to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda in Washington, D.C. on Friday for a public viewing before he's laid to rest on Saturday. The senator's family, colleagues, and staff have already made appearances to honor his life and service, while members of the public are invited to enter the rotunda between about 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern to file past that casket and pay their respects. McCain becomes the 13th senator and 31st person in general to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. It's an honor that's said to be reserved for the country's, quote, most eminent citizens, most often government officials and military officers. Presidents like Abraham Lincoln have also lain in state, and McCain's casket will actually be placed on top of Lincoln's catafalque, which is a wooden base that has been used in multiple ceremonies in previous years. On Saturday, a service will be held in the war hero's honor at Washington National Cathedral before he's laid to final rest at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. McCain graduated from the Naval Academy in 1958. On Thursday, the late senator's body was transported from Phoenix, Arizona after 2 days of memorial events there, including a private service at North Phoenix Baptist Church, where former Vice President Joe Biden delivered a tearful eulogy. The casket was met at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland by McCain's daughter Megan and widow Cindy. McCain died of brain cancer on Saturday at the age of 81. We'll have more info a little later in the show on the schedule of McCain's memorial services on Saturday and how you can watch, so stick around for that. All right, shifting gears here. Guess who's back? Back again. All right, that's as far as I'll go. Eminem quietly dropped a brand new album Thursday night at midnight titled Kamikaze, teasing the release on Twitter with this caption: "Try not to overthink this one, enjoy." Eminem and his longtime collaborator Dr. Dre produced the LP, which is his second full-length studio album in 8 months and 10th in total in his career. Now, the 45-minute LP has some pretty eye-catching album artwork, too. The front displays an illustrated jet plane rudder in homage to the Beastie Boys' classic License to Ill cover. On the back, you can find that same jet plane kind of crashing into a wall with its pilot giving the middle finger. You expect anything less from Eminem? Probably not. Of course, the actual tracks on the album are just as irreverent as the album cover. The first song on the album is titled The Ringer. It sets the tone with the line, "I want to punch the world in the bleeping face right now," just to kind of set the tone early. From there, Eminem takes shots at President Trump, Mike Pence, Harvey Weinstein, Machine Gun Kelly, Joe Budden, Tyler, the Creator, and rappers like Lil Pump, Lil Yachty, and Lil Xan. A lot of people get some zings in, so M's anger isn't all targeted at others on this album, though. One track, titled Stepping Stone, is arguably Kamikaze's most autobiographical track. It details Eminem's struggle with the death of his former D12 bandmate, Proof. Kamikaze is available now and streaming on Apple Music, iTunes, and Spotify. So check that out.
I know.
The surprise music. Everybody does that now.
They do.
Right. So, but it gets the buzz. I'm really curious to hear this.
I've already been listening, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
All right, I have more for you guys. We are kicking off Star Tracks with one singer who is spilling the deets on her first kiss. Ariana Grande says life with fiancé Pete Davidson just gets better every day. The pop star called into her friend Nicki Minaj's radio show on Thursday, where she opened up about her first kiss with Davidson, saying, quote, "It was so dope. It was so cute. He asked my permission to kiss me." The singer goes on to say there was so much in the kiss, calling it really sweet, but also really sexy. Sounds like the perfect kiss there. Minaj also reflected on the time Grande and Davidson visited her in the studio, saying, quote, "Y'all have the same sense of humor. I know with girls like you and me who like the laugh, it's so important." Grande agreed, saying that she and Pete are like the boy and girl version of each other, except he's 17 feet tall and I'm 4 inches tall. I don't know about you guys, I am loving these two together, and we're waiting for those wedding deets. All right, now moving on to even more wedding news. Take a look at this.
We love and welcome all the wishes and the prayers for our family, but please do not let a good wish-making time pass for yourself. We can all use a bit of good luck and some good wishes and some dreams come true.
Gabrielle Union took her and Dwyane Wade's wedding anniversary to the next level on Thursday when she posted this sweet video on Twitter with the caption, "4 years later, you're still my best friend. Happy anniversary, baby." For their 4-year anniversary, the actress shared a cute movie trailer-style video of their wedding day, which displayed the absolute fairy tale ceremony and celebrations that they enjoyed with family and friends. The video is equipped with cameo appearances from the pair's pals like Kevin Hart and John Legend, and makes for the perfect rom-com fit for the movies. And like any good film, there's got to be a title. The trailer ends with a black screen and the hashtag #TheWadeUnion. Gotta love it, very clever. Well, Taylor Swift's man is stepping out in Venice. Joe Alwyn hit the Venice Film Festival red carpet to promote his new film, The Favorite, on Thursday night, along with co-stars Emma Stone, Olivia Colman, and Nicholas Hoult. Joe also shared a candid photo of the castmates to his Instagram, which he recently made public. And do not worry, Taylor already hit that like button. We've been watching, but not creepy at all. But no sign of Swift in Venice. She is set to appear on stage Friday in Minneapolis as her Reputation World Tour continues. Movie fans will be seeing a lot of Joe as this fall's box office heats up. He's also appearing in Operation Finale, Boy Erased, and Mary Queen of Scots, all due out before the year's end. So does this mean we'll be seeing Swift on the Oscars red carpet? Fingers crossed for that. All right, moving on to this. Turns out superheroes are real. Actors from across the Marvel superhero universe are showing their support for a young fan battling cancer. A social media campaign was launched in honor of Josh, a 17-year-old Australian boy diagnosed with leukemia and brain cancer and given just months to live. His quote, only wish was to meet or receive a message from a Marvel actor, and they delivered.
You have more courage and more strength in your pinky finger than any superhero does in their entire body.
That's amazing. Also sending in their wishes, Captain America himself, Chris Evans, fellow Ozzy and Wolverine star Hugh Jackman, Guardians of the Galaxy star Chris Pratt, and Spider-Man's Tom Holland. And Josh seems to be on cloud 9 from all these shout-outs. Josh's mom tweeted, his videos are making him smile. It's very special, and our best wishes to Josh and his family. And those are your Star Tracks for today.
All right, guys, stay with us. We're going live at the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin's funeral service. Plus, we're breaking down all the TV and music that you have got to watch and listen to this week. But first, we're going inside the fight to save Ben Affleck and breaking down his most recent trip to rehab. It is in this week's Deep Dive. Watch. Ben Affleck has been a major box office draw for more than 2 decades.
I love you. Not in a friendly way.
Since his first appearance in the indie film Chasing Amy,
I'd do anything to have what you got.
and Good Will Hunting, which he co-wrote with his best friend and co-star Matt Damon. The two famously won a Best Original Screenplay Oscar, and Ben was destined for stardom. But just a few years later, he was brought low by a very common problem.
Addiction is something that Ben Affleck has dealt with for years. This is somebody who got famous at a very young age. And in this industry, there are so many temptations all around. His first trip to rehab was in 2001, and he has a history of this within his family. His father battled alcoholism as well, and he's been very open about that.
I didn't get your name.
I didn't give it.
While shooting the 2003 action film Daredevil, he began dating someone who'd become a major stabilizing force in his life, Jennifer Garner.
They got married, had 3 kids. They seemed to have this really happy, very stable relationship that went on for 10 years, and everybody was really rooting for them.
But that marriage ended when the couple split last year. Affleck dated a Saturday Night Live producer, Lindsay Shookus, for a year, and when that ended, he spiraled.
She had been a fairly stabilizing influence on him, so people thought their breakup could be a bad thing. Then he begins dating this Playboy playmate, Shauna Sexton. Within a couple days, he was seen getting a liquor delivery at his home. So his ex-wife, Jen Garner, comes over to check in on him, and she finds basically a crisis situation. She returns to his house with an addiction specialist, and she ends up driving him to rehab with one little stop on the way at Jack in the Box for fast food.
It's difficult for Jen to fully separate from Affleck for one main reason.
Jen Garner's main concern is that he be able to stay sober, mostly for the benefit of their children, to be a good father and take care of them. But he really relies on her to be the one that swoops in and cleans him up when he's having difficulty.
The timing couldn't be worse.
She has a new movie, Peppermint. It's pegged as her big action comeback.
She's back.
Just 2 weeks after she was pictured driving him to rehab, so you can expect her to do a lot less press. And since Ben entered rehab, questions have arisen as to whether he's going to return to play Batman, just based on the insurance he would no doubt command.
Still, very few stars can greenlight a project like Ben.
He's a huge producer, and there are giant multi-million-dollar projects that ride solely on his back. The pressure from that alone, it's very hard for somebody to really stay on the straight and narrow, and it's proven very difficult to be committed to that.
Yeah, so interesting to see
I
how that
know.
whole thing's playing out. We'll see how it continues, and of course you can stay updated on people.com.
All right, let's check in on our People poll. We've been asking what your favorite Aretha Franklin song is in honor of her funeral today.
So here we go. Yep.
Not surprised that Respect is
R.E.S.P.
coming in #1.
Respect, A Natural Woman, and then I Never Loved a Man, and Ain't No Way.
A Natural Woman's doing pretty well. It's kind of holding its own here.
I just want you to know that it's taking every ounce of my strength not to sing one of those songs right now.
Then do it.
No. I'm going to save it for later. Guys, thank you for voting in that poll. You can keep it up. And in more Aretha Franklin news now, we move to this. The Queen of Soul's funeral service. It's being held today in Detroit, Michigan. It's streaming live. We can take a look here inside that ceremony. People are singing. We've been there's a slate of artists and celebrities and dignitaries that are arranged for speaking and singing throughout the morning. And so yeah, there was singing some song. We were saying earlier, you know, Aretha Franklin grew up in church and singing in her father's church. So the tone of this is definitely going to be very much like a church service. That's what we're seeing in
Yes, and of course we're East time right now, East Coast time. They're an hour behind there.
Let's listen in a bit.
Actually, the funeral service is running an hour behind. That's what we are just finding out right now.
So performers at the service are going to include Stevie Wonder, Faith Hill, Ariana Grande, Chaka Khan. I believe you have T.D. Jakes there, and some others on the stage leading the congregation, and everyone in attendance there in music. It's a service that's lasting all day today. Began at 8:30 a.m. local time, scheduled to go to 3 p.m. local time there. We'll see if it runs maybe a little late since they're running behind at this point.
Yes, there's also been some speeches made by some important people. We got Bill Clinton, Smokey Robinson, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Cicely Tyson, former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, Clive Davis, and Tyler Perry are all set to speak today as well.
So on Thursday night, before the service, fans and some famous friends actually were able to honor Aretha Franklin with a special memorial concert in Detroit. So there's been, you know, this week-long, several days of different viewings for the public and honoring Aretha Franklin. So you can actually stream that all day today as well. Now let's move on to this. John McCain's funeral at the Washington National Cathedral will also be live streamed on Saturday. You can tune in through the McCain website, johnmccain.com. That starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. The service itself is invite only.
Yeah, former Presidents Barack Obama and George W. Bush will deliver eulogies during the service, and former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who celebrated his 95th birthday in May, is expected to speak as well.
Before the funeral service, the McCain family will escort the late senator along Pennsylvania Avenue in a public procession to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. They'll place a wreath there in McCain's honor.
And McCain, a former Navy pilot, was taken prisoner by the North Vietnamese in October of 1967. He was held captive there for 5.5 years, enduring various forms of torture and even being kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 of those years.
It's such a remarkable story there, and his motorcade will begin the procession around 8:30 a.m. Eastern. The public is welcome to line the procession route along Constitution Avenue to pay their respects there. Then after the procession, it continues.
Yeah, after the procession and the private service, McCain will be taken to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, where he will be laid to rest. All right, now moving on to this.
I asked the Iron Fist.
I'm fighting for what I believe in, no matter the cost. What are you fighting for?
I'm trying to do what's right.
Guys, Marvel's Iron Fist on Netflix is back for its 2nd season, and if you can believe it, the action is even better. They've recruited the fight coordinator from Black Panther, and the actors have been training like never before. We talked to stars Finn Jones and Jessica Henwick about taking on the stunts in season 2. Watch this.
We have doubles, but the majority of the work is done by the actors.
Were there any injuries
Yeah, there were a few.
that happened to you guys?
Yes, I got punched in the face at once, and the kidneys. The kidneys actually really hurt. The face wasn't too bad.
Last season, my hip came out. Both my hips came out.
Really?
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Major.
it was awful.
I sent someone to hospital.
Did you?
Not naming names.
Wait, you hit
Oh
someone?
yes! Oh my God!
Don't say who.
No, she's already talked about it.
Wait, what?
It was a girl.
Hey,
Wow.
Oh my
Wait,
God,
she
you make
already
me sound like
talked
so
about it.
bad.
What was it?
Okay, so what happened was I went to block her kick, and her this part of her foot there came in contact with my elbow, and it's a very soft.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just she had to go and make sure it wasn't broken.
It wasn't.
What's her name rhyme with?
I'm not saying anything.
Malice Meave.
We'll never guess. You can do your own math there. If you follow Finn on Instagram, you know what a music fanatic he is, but he took it to the next level on the set of Iron Fist at the expense of the art department, it turns out. Listen to this.
Finn always rips me to shreds for stealing stuff from set.
Well, you do. You're a thief.
Finn stole a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs soundtrack vinyl. Was it Snow White or was it Disney? What Disney film?
I thought it was
an old
Arcade
Disney-
Fire.
No, it was It was Snow White or Sleeping Beauty or something like
Pinocchio?
that. Pinocchio, maybe?
Wait, more important, why was that on the...
Oh, so basically...
Because this season...
We've moved in together.
Danny's got a little quiet
record
section.
collection. Yeah.
His little, like, me time area.
I asked the showrunner
apartment.
if I could have, like, a record player and a record collection in our new apartment. And
they went
made
overboard.
And they actually had loads of good records. they actually had loads of good records.
He stole quite
in
a few records.
I did steal quite a few. Everyone did, though. Did you?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a vinyl player.
You just stole, like, massive props.
Wait, what have you stolen?
No.